On July 11, 2026, Norway was eliminated from the World Cup by England, 2-1. The rowing has stopped. The Englishmen stopped it. Meanwhile, in Oslo, the celebration was just beginning. 20,000 people marched to the royal palace in pouring rain. They rowed until 2 in the morning. They celebrated like they'd won the whole thing. You would think, watching the footage, that Norway had just reached a World Cup semifinal. They hadn't. And none of them seemed to care. 135,000 people filled Oslo's city center that night, spilling across the Frogner Stadion fan zone and the surrounding streets. Every bar, every square, and every balcony was draped in red, white, and blue. And the rain was relentless, soaking rain that had been falling for hours with no sign of stopping. Umbrellas collapsed. Flags clung wet to their poles. The streets turned to rivers of running mascara and smeared face paint. Nobody left. Nobody even thought about leaving. Police described the crowd as good-natured despite the weather. An entire city, soaked to the bone, stood in puddles, waiting for something that had taken 28 years to arrive. In the 36th minute, Andreas Schjelderup put Norway ahead, and the loudspeakers at Frogner blasted Jahn Teigen's Optimist. The song was Teigen's 1989 entry in Melodi Grand Prix, Norway's national final for the Eurovision Song Contest, and it has become the country's unofficial anthem for believing things will work out. Tens of thousands sang every word into the rain. For 9 minutes, it was actually happening. Then, in stoppage time, disaster struck. A Norway goal kick clipped an overhead camera cable, the wire suspending the robotic skycam above the pitch, and the deflected ball fell to an England player who worked it forward to Jude Bellingham. Bellingham buried it. The referee never stopped play. Norway's bench erupted, screaming for a review that never came. FIFA later said its ball tracking sensors found no evidence of contact. The replays told a murkier story. Either way, the goal stood. The match went into the break tied at 1 goal apiece. From there, the match went to extra time. 3 minutes in, Bellingham struck again. England had won, 2-1. Norway's World Cup was over. And here is the moment that tells you more about this team than any scoreline does. The crowd didn't dissolve. It migrated. Soaked, shivering, running on adrenaline, and the dregs of whatever they'd been drinking for 6 hours, thousands turned and walked up Karl Johans Gate toward the royal palace. The rain hadn't let up. It didn't matter. By just after 2 in the morning, roughly 20,000 people stood outside the palace grounds, rain streaming down their faces, rowing, the same Viking row that had been silenced in Miami but was alive and thundering in Oslo. They weren't protesting. They weren't mourning. They were celebrating. They were drenched, exhausted, and still celebrating a loss. A 17-year-old named Michael admitted it stung but stuck around in the rain rather than rush for the last train home. Politician Abid Raja, who'd spent the pre-game hours predicting Norway would go all the way, had said before kickoff that Norway deserved to win, partly just for the atmosphere it had created. Messages of support poured in from South America and South Africa. England fans who'd flown from Yorkshire to watch among Norwegians, in Viking helmets, rain dripping off the horns, said the atmosphere in Oslo would beat anything back home. Norway didn't win the match, but standing in the rain outside the royal palace at 2 in the morning, nobody was keeping score. The point was that Norway was there in a World Cup quarterfinal for the first time in the country's history. A squad nobody believed in had gotten them there, led by a striker who scored in every single match, representing a nation that hadn't even qualified for a World Cup since 1998. They'll fly home devastated. but they fly home as the team that made Norway relevant again, 45 years after the miracle in Oslo and 28 years after France. 1998. The wait wasn't for a trophy. It was for a night in the rain that felt like this. Norway is good at this, celebrating something that looks, from the outside, like a loss. It is a small country with an oversized sense of what it means to belong to something. The same instinct that sent 20,000 people into the rain at 2 in the morning is the one that built a doomsday vault into Arctic permafrost and rewrote its own alcohol laws so strangers could watch football together past 3 in the morning. It is not always rational, but it is always unmistakably Norwegian. If this left you curious about Norway, its people, its culture, and its history, you've come to the right place. We cover the good, the bad, and the ugly side of Norway. Make sure to check out our videos. I'll see you in the next one.